So this morning I was out doing some networking with some fellow realtors and real estate professionals, and I was talking to a great agent, who's been in the business for a long time, savvy investor, and we were talking about a project that he was flipping, a home that he was flipping in St. George, and he'd kind of told me a couple of months ago he's really had some major problems with it. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong on this project, and I said to him this morning, I said, how'd your project go in St. George? He says, I lost money on that thing. And I thought, oh, that's a bummer. I hate to hear people losing money on a flipper or any real estate investment. And I said, there should be a show on HGTV that shows and portrays people losing money on flippers, because they make it look so dang easy and so dang sexy to flip a home, and anybody can do it. And then, of course, you have the guys on late night television, and they're showing you how you can do it in zero down, and everybody wants to be a house flipper, and it just looks like it's so much fun. But the reality is, even people that know what they're doing can lose money pretty quickly on a flipper. Yeah. And so today, let's address that topic. Is flipping everything that people hope it is? Is it the answer to their financial worries? Is it just a distraction? What is it? Let's talk about flipping.
We have quite a bit of experience with flipping. We're not house flippers per se, but we've done a lot of flipping. And, through our real estate business and our property management business, we've gathered around us some pretty good, talented contractors. Yeah. So we have the resources to do that. Yeah. But I've probably seen the most financial damage occur through the strategy of house flipping to friends, family, acquaintances than any other strategy. I mean, it's not really a safe real estate investing strategy. Now, there's going to be some people that are going to disagree with that. But like I said, I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money house flipping. Mm-hmm. You have to get not just a good deal on a piece of real estate, you have to steal that piece of real estate to make even a decent return at the end of the day. So just because you think you're getting a good deal doesn't mean that's going to be a successful house flip.
Well, let's talk about why you and I like to flip. Jared and I, we got our noses to the grindstone sometimes. And for us, flipping a home is kind of a distraction. There's a lot of satisfaction in taking a home that has been abused and not cared for many years, and turning that into something amazing again. Yeah. And there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction, but it's actually, in our experience, and we've hit some big ones, so I shouldn't say that across the board, but in our experience, if we kept our nose to the grindstone and we're doing what we were supposed to be doing every day with our sales business and building our property management division and other kinds of investments, we'd make more money. So why do you and I like to flip? I think it's a fun distraction. I mean, it is fun.
It can be fun. And we have fun because we aren't under the same kind of stress maybe as other people are. In other words, if we go over budget or over time, it's not our last penny going out the door. So
that's true.
We do house flipping, and we would never do a project that's going to bankrupt us. So we've had a lot of projects. We've had projects where one we didn't anticipate getting the city involved in, pulling some permits and things like that. Yeah. And they, wanted us to pull a permit. That added some expenses because they wanted us to do some things. We found termites in things. We've found, problems with mechanicals that we didn't anticipate changing out. Mm. So a lot of things can come up with that. But it is fun. And I really think that those professionals that are out there flipping houses, and they're doing it a good quality job, they're doing it the right way, I think they're providing a great service to the community.
Absolutely.
When we do it right. In other words, we're not just covering things up with lipstick and rouge. I mean, it's oftentimes that we are doing things like re-roofing a property, that we're actually replumbing some stuff, that we're putting in a new furnace and air conditioner. Those things oftentimes don't bring us a great return because they're not very sexy, those kinds of items. But I don't want to pass on problems to the new buyer. There's a lot of homes that have just been a blight on the neighborhood. And investors come in, a talented flipper who knows what they're doing, come in and totally transform that property. Now you've got a really nice buyer, family, whoever, who's bought that property and is maintaining the yard. it turns that whole street around, it seems like. And so I think those that are out there doing it correctly are really providing a great service to the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to set an expectation. I mean, when we take on a flip, Jared brings out the Excel spreadsheets and he accounts for everything. So, people say, "Oh, I think I could transform this for $40,000." Well, you better start breaking down what you're going to get for $40,000 because they don't. What are some of the things that people just don't consider when you're flipping?
Man, I just cringe when people say, "Yeah, he bought it for $200,000. He put 40 into it, and he sold it for $270,000 or something." There's so much more involved in flipping that home. So I have to get the spreadsheet out because I have to look at how long that project's going to take. Mm-hmm. How many months are we going to have the utilities in our name? Mm-hmm. How many months of interest are we going to pay? If you can do it for cash, great. But if you're using a home equity line of credit or you're borrowing hard money or your partner or something like that, how much interest, how much money is it going to cost to borrow the money? So again, we're able to self-fund a lot of this kind of stuff now. But in the past, when we're paying 11, 12, 13% interest payments, it adds up. You can blow away $15,000 on a project just in the financing of it. Mm-hmm. Insurance costs, and you better believe you want to be well insured on a property like that and to have the right insurance policy. So a lot of your traditional homeowner insurance policies, they don't want house flipping going on underneath that policy. Mm-hmm. You've got to have a policy that's specific for a property that's under renovation, that's vacant, that tools are there, and that sort of thing. Taking care of the yard while you're flipping it. Now, there's probably going to be some landscape upgrades and things like that to be done, but again, just maintaining that yard. There are so many expenses that people are not even considering when they're entering into a flip, and that's where they're losing money and getting into trouble.
Well, one that people don't realize is that if you borrow hard money, the hard money lenders actually want a policy of title insurance.
Yeah.
It's a lender's policy of title insurance.
Yeah.
And depending on the sales price, that could be $1,400 or $1,000 right there.
Yeah.
So,
so then the big expenses too are selling that property when you're done.
Right.
Okay. Now, Justin and I, obviously, we don't pay a listing commission because we list our own properties, but we're generally paying a buyer's agent who's representing the buyer. Mm-hmm. That's 3% right there. You're also paying for a title insurance policy.
Right.
You're paying some taxes for the time that you own the home. You're paying some other transactional costs for the title company. I mean, those things add up. So you have, in our spreadsheet, you have your repair costs, and those can be pretty significant, but you're paying, in some cases, almost the same amount. So you're sort of doubling that repair cost in all of these other costs to buy the property, to finance the property, to hold the property, and then to liquidate the property. Right. So you've got to be able to know your numbers and know how to analyze a deal. You've got to know what to pay for it, what your after repaired value is, your ARV is, and be able to make sure there's enough room in there to leave a little bit of profit. Well, hopefully a lot of profit at the end of the day. But, some people are saying, "Oh, I made 80 grand on a flip." That's a really exceptional flip.
By the way, people brag about their flips all the time. They do not give you the exact numbers. Yeah. They just love to brag about it. And that's what those shows do, right? They say they bought it for this, they put this much in it, they sold it for this. And that's just not entirely true.
But in our market, I think if you're making, 20 grand on a flip, 25 grand on a flip, that's a really
great flip.
That's a good project to do. And if you can do that over a 4-month time period,
great money.
That's great money. Yeah. And like you say, at the end of the day, it's fun. I mean, we're doing one right now in Highland. It's on a phenomenal piece of property.
1.5 acre horse property.
Big brick rambler. Really lovely floor plan. We haven't done any. We've done a little bit of putting in a door and a little bit of. We haven't had to do any knocking down walls or anything like that because it had a great floor plan.
But we have touched every surface of that home.
We've touched every surface of that home. We have just really, really done a lot. And I think we're probably, just in repair costs, we're probably 70 to 75 grand in that one.
We're going to do a podcast specifically on that project.
I think people would be interested in it.
And it's been a fun project. And it's fun because Jared and I get to hang out at Home Depot and Lowe's together. And we're buying toilets and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And that's fun for us. But one last expense that maybe people don't think about, and especially if you're not doing this as for a living and you're set up to do this, is you have just created a tax problem potentially for yourself. Not a tax problem, but there's a tax implication.
Yeah.
And so, you might have made $40,000 on a flip. Probably not.
Yeah.
Because there's also taxes you need to figure.
Yeah, a windfall of cash like that in any given tax year can be a problem for some people. Yeah. I mean, if it bumps them up into a different tax bracket, for example. So there's some strategies, of course, to, reduce your tax liability or potentially defer it, delay it. Mm. But I guess the point today that we're trying to make is that be careful. This is not like it's portrayed on the TV shows, and you can really get yourself into some trouble financially by doing this. And I know a lot of people who have. When Justin and I go over budget or we go over time, we've got the funds to cover that. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. We can still sleep at night if we're 2 months longer on a project than we thought we were. Yeah. Because we have some cash available to do these kinds of things. So with that being said, as we're always trying to engage our audience, if you think you have a deal that's worth flipping and you want us to consult with you on that, we'd be happy to do that. If you want us to partner with you on that, we might be looking at doing that. We also could be interested in financing a project for somebody, for the right person and for the right project, where we can go and put our eyes on it and say, yeah, this is what things worth and this is what's going to be worth after it's done. I mean, Justin and I can tell that pretty quickly, and we can run some spreadsheets and things like that, but we might be willing to finance that and do a hard money loan, so to speak. And a lot of people think that's a dirty term, hard money loan, but that's what it is. It's short-term financing specifically for projects like a fix and flip.
Mm-hmm. Well, fun.
So I hope that's been helpful to you, and hopefully it keeps some people out of trouble, some of the things we said, or hopefully it just
everyone should try it once, huh?
Yeah, or hopefully it just adds a sense of reality to somebody's decision making as they're contemplating flipping a home. I mean, ultimately we want people to succeed and be successful and transform neighborhoods, as we talked about earlier, and do a great work with flipping houses, but just do it wisely.